Yeah, I just want to be out here for a minute, get a little 30-minute in. Yeah, man. Last night I was watching the playoffs, right? I was going back to channel simultaneously with the Sixers versus the Wizards and the Hawks versus the Knicks. I'm gonna talk about the Sixers for a minute. That Sixers game, man, was brutal. The first quarter, they struggled a little bit. Wizards figured them out from game one. That beat down they did, and they beat them down again. So the Sixers came out, swinging at the second half. I mean, the second quarter was good too, and I think Tobias tweaked his ankle during the game and came back and rolled tape on it. Then Seth Curry hurt his ankle as well. I mean, a foot, and then came back, right? So basically, what I'm saying is that series is going to be a sweep, like I predicted. It's 2-0. If Westbrook wins one game, or it could be a 5-game series. So basically, that game is just like a wrap to me. I just don't see Wizards bouncing back from this series because when you got Embiid and you got Def and you got guys that won a championship, come off a championship with LeBron last year in the bubble, that looks like a championship tailor-made team. The refs is on their side. They got the support. It reminds me how Toronto was when they won their first championship, but the Sixers haven't won one in years since '83. So that's about like 37 to 38 years ago, right? Since they won a championship. So yeah, they tailor-made to win. So I think that's a good start for them, and I think they should keep their foot on their necks and just call it out, and then wait for the winner of the Knicks and the Hawks. The Knicks bounced back, which is great. That's a great win for them. So now the series is tied up. Now they go to Atlanta. Atlanta start off good, but then they got pressure back, and then the Knicks came in and just did damage, at the end. So it's pretty good. I think the Knicks is doing fantastic. They're doing fantastic right now because now they figure out how to stop Trae Young and them. The inexperience is showing on that team because Trae Young and them guys have never been to those realms like that. Now, Lou Williams has playoff experience. Yes, a few other guys have playoff experience, even a few other guys. But I think the Knicks, what they did, they figured them out. But the coach, Thibodeau, he's been in there for like a few playoff runs and, has success. But the next round, if whoever faced, we already know it's going to be Philly because Philly's going to destroy Washington. Washington don't have the depth like Philadelphia does. I mean, they got good guys. They have two guys, Westbrook and Beal. That ain't really enough. The third guy is random. They got Rui Hachimura. They got him, the Japanese player. They have Gafford. Sometimes they have other people on the bench, and it's usually it boils down to those guys. It's a handful, right? But we will see the Milwaukee and Miami tonight. I will see that game tonight. Then I'll see the other games tonight as well. The Lakers and the Suns, that should be a good one. Now the Dallas and the Clippers game, that will be, I don't know if that's tonight or whatever, but I'll check that out. But it's pretty interesting what's going on. So yeah, the updates is real, man. Like what I saw last night was great, and Utah beat the brakes off of Memphis. I knew Donovan Mitchell was coming back. They needed him bad in the first game, but the second game they did very well. So that's very good. The Lakers, I know they tied the series with the Suns. It's going to be interesting. That may go seven. Because I don't know. Like LeBron and Chris Paul are still a little banged up, but they can still play like they're 100%, but really they're not. Because LeBron, all he has to do is just get, what's his name, Anthony Davis motivated. I mean, Marc Gasol is just one player. He's very inconsistent in the playoffs. I mean, when he won the championship in 2019, that was a well-oiled machine. They didn't have no LeBron. Now, he's playing with LeBron. That's going to be very interesting how the Suns is going to bounce back. That may go seven because Chris Paul is not going to go out like that, with one game win over him. I just don't see that because the Lakers don't have the piece. See, anytime LeBron gets a team tailor-made to win, they usually lose the playoffs because he's the type of guy, when he takes the weakest team, they usually win. Just like Tom Brady. Look at that Super Bowl. That's how Tom Brady wins. I wish they both had weak teams and win the same year, but it doesn't work that way. Because one of them has to lose and one of them has to win. It's like a pattern. I tried to tell you before on my self streams of outside. These dudes, when you talk about LeBron, he'll win any other year when Tom Brady's not winning. And Tom Brady, same thing. It's just like it's a pattern for some reason. They both calculated. They pick you apart, but when you really figure them out, they up out of there. I just don't see him winning this year because the media picks him as the favorite, which is obvious, right? Mainstream media of the sports, right? But come to find out, they're still a little banged up. Yeah, yeah. But it depends. I don't trust them in the playoffs. They don't have the pieces to win because, like, anytime it's a LeBron team like that, they usually lose because the West is different, though. This is not the same Lakers team that won last year. They add pieces that don't work and don't fit because the first game was very telling. So LeBron's not 100%, and when he's not 100%, he's being careful with his minutes. So AD's got to be the difference. That's all I'm saying. He's the next man up. You can't rely on LeBron carrying you, man, because when you make him do too much, the game gets out of their hands. That's what happened in game one. See, game two, they figured it out. They told AD, you better step your ass up, win this game for us. You got to be the leader. See, it's a test with him. This is not a LeBron test. LeBron don't have to prove nothing at this point. It's kind of like Tom Brady. They don't have to prove nothing. The other guys got to step up. If the other guys don't step up, the Lakers will not be in so much of a detriment, because they playing a team that's very good. Don't sleep on the Suns. The Suns is a good team. I don't think they're going to go further, but I'm just saying, like, a lot of people's hungry for a championship this year. See, it's up for grabs this year. That's why I'm not picking them to go to the finals because anybody can play. Yeah, the Lakers should do good if Anthony Davis step up. That's the key. And Drummond, he'll play. Everybody else will play. And that's what happens, man. You gotta be keen to what you're doing, man. Because see, the East, like I said, I mean, Philly has a shot to the finals if they want to. They got two Laker guys that used to play for LeBron. Because Philly's that team, man. They everybody's gonna sleep on them on the media. Brooklyn's not it, because Durant, he's not 100%. He's like LeBron. They in that mode. See, there's other players besides them too, and that's what's wrong with people. And then the Bucks, they itching for a finals. They can beat the Nets anytime they want. But this next game with them tonight with Miami and the Bucks, that's gonna be, to me, that's gonna be a sweep because it's payback from last year in the bubble. And Giannis is gonna make a more statement. He just got to keep doing it. But Miami will try to fight back. If they win one game, which is good. It's good playoff run. But one's gonna get a sweep. I'm just gonna call it right now. Dallas and Philadelphia is gonna sweep those two teams if they don't play well. There's a lot of weaknesses on the Clippers and the Wizards because they revert back to two guys. What's good? Listening to the Sixers going to promised land. Yeah, I mean, they got that type of team. It's a strange year. Look at Doc Rivers. He ain't won the championship in decades. You got two Laker teams to play with LeBron. Two players that used to play for the Lakers in the bubble last year, Green and Howard. And the way they destroyed the Wizards, man, I'm like, who's going to contest that? You got Steph Curry. You got guys that's been on that level. So now you got a coach that can get them there. Embiid and Simmons just got to play well. That's the thing. Those two guys got to help them play well. And Tobias Harris, those three, that's a nucleus right there. That's a championship tailor-made team. Now, LeBron don't need a tailor-made team. He has a tailor-made team, but he's banged up. That's the problem. Anthony Davis is going to have to step up and hold his head to the promised land if they want to win. They're the defending champs, but they can be beat. That's the whole thing about the Lakers. But it's one of those years like when Tom Brady wins the championship, usually LeBron doesn't win one, and it's weird like that, And then he's in the West, so I want to see how good he does in the West if he does go further, because the West ain't gonna give him. They already know his game. See, the East, when he was in the East, they knew his game, but they didn't understand how to stop him. See, the West, they know how to stop him because they know how to not give him any room. They let him be himself. He'll make a mistake. And LeBron knows what he's doing. He's a professional, so he knows what team he wants, but he picks it right, you know. And that's the thing about LeBron. Don't underestimate what he does. It's like Tom Brady out there with the basketball. He picks you apart, but if you understand what he's doing, he's gonna be up out of there, you know. But LeBron can't do it by himself, so AD's gonna have to be the guy to get him there. That's the real key. He always relies on the second player. That's just LeBron. That's his game. That's just who he is. See, Michael didn't need those guys. He could take a weak team by himself, and they believed in him. See, his teammates believed in him. See, LeBron's teammates is different. They believe in him, but sometimes they don't believe in him. That's how they lose. And he's the opposite type of leader. He wants to lead it, but he inspires them. You know, if that makes sense. Now, Michael, he was believed, and players love to play with him. You know, he's that type of dude. He's like a Joe Montana type. Like, you know, you got your wins, but you got your prowess. You know, and the playoffs is interesting this year because I don't know who's gonna win the championship. Because I ain't gonna say the Lakers gonna win it because I don't think they're the team I would trust because they're the 7th seed. They could be beat anytime. I mean, I've seen 7 seeds go further, but not this further. Not with that roster. Because you got a lot of inexperienced players on the Lakers as well. Because it's gonna be a strange year. It's, you know, the West is very tricky. Utah is inexperienced a little bit because they ain't been further to the Western Conference. I mean, that last night what I saw from Jazz, man, that's what they need to do. The next round's gonna be telling because Utah is more experienced than Dallas. I'll say that. But Dallas, I don't know who is the experienced guy on their team. You know what I mean? Now I know the coach won the championship back in 2011. That they got the coaching experience, but we're talking about players and coaches together because the NBA is kind of like it's a players' league. Coaches always come sexy. Football is a coaches' league, so it's organized. So yeah, a lot of people pick Brooklyn. I don't pick Brooklyn going to Eastern Conference because Durant's not 100%. I don't trust that team when it has James Harden. James Harden's track record shows that he can't get past a certain level, especially in the conference. So he's beatable because if he plays the Bucks, they know how to guard him. See, the Bucks got the defense. That's going to be a series, but Durant, they're going to have to be careful with him because just like LeBron, they have to be careful because he's still injured and banged up. Just because he has it taped up and has the shots up, he has a high ankle sprain. That's hard to heal. So LeBron's risking his life out there to try to win another one. So he's trying to do something that ain't been done. So he's trying to silence everybody, him not getting another title. But I doubt he's going to get one this year because it's too much competition. Now, if he does get one next year or if he plays again, that now I can side with that. But I don't know. Lakers is not that team, man. I ain't picking them just to come out the West. I mean, it's obvious. That's a media pick. The West can be anybody. Okay, you can say Clippers. They should. You got Denver. You got Portland. Now, Utah is telling. A lot of inexperience, you know. Suns got a lot of inexperienced players too, but they have an experienced playoff player that has to prove something. Now, if it's their year, they can do it. But I don't know what the Suns gonna do. Suns gonna have to learn. LeBron's gonna be LeBron. AD can be consistent, but he's very inconsistent. So that's why I don't trust Anthony Davis sometimes. Sometimes Drummond and Marc Gasol, Marc Gasol been to a championship once. So that's only one experience you got. It's him, LeBron, AD, and those guys, they have to learn. But since they're the 7th seed, I don't know. It's gonna be tricky, man, because the West, I ain't gonna ride that, that coattail or the Lakers gonna win to the championship. I just don't see that, man. That's what the media sees. But the average fanatic or a supporter is going to look at it different. I mean, we do see what the media sees because they look at LeBron. I just don't see that. That's not always accurate because sometimes if you go based off the Brady analogy that I use, he wins championships every other year. When he won that Super Bowl, man, he wasn't supposed to win it. But Patrick Mahomes was banged up, right? That's how Tom Brady won. He had a tailor-made team, man. And Tampa Bay had a good defense, but the offense, He changed the game, man, and that's really sad that the Kansas City Chiefs lost that game, man. But I'm not surprised because Brady's been in it so many times, and usually when he wins the Super Bowl, 9 out of 10, LeBron doesn't win one world championship. It depends on what LeBron does. It's usually on the East. Now, in the West, it's gonna be interesting. I'm just not gonna pick him right off the gate because I got to see how long can he last in the West. Because they'll start talking about it. They said they ain't gonna watch players. I say bullshit. You got Kawhi, if he's still in it. You got Doncic. You got Embiid. Most people's tired of hearing the LeBron. I'm gonna tell you that right now. They trying to get him up out of there because he's not MJ, which he's not. Because MJ, he had like a presence. Kobe was different. Kobe was obviously different than LeBron. He don't get enough credit because he didn't get that many MVPs. That's another thing. And LeBron's is similar to the two of them, but the only difference is I compare him to Bird and Wilt. He won't get appreciated until he gets out of the league, but he'll be forgettable in so many years. But I'll remember him for one, how he built his teams, how he strategizes them, how he breaks them down mentally and physically. I compare him to another player in another sport because they're very similar, and they always have tailor-made teams. That's what you're gonna look at, and that's the modern basketball or football sports we see today. But the playoffs in the NBA is a little different because the refs ain't gonna call a lot of fouls. I've noticed in the Sixers game, and they did that with what's called Ben Simmons. He didn't get the foul call, and then he bumped into dude. Yeah, Sixers got a shot this year because they're already championship built. That's why I pick out of the East. Yeah, I pick Philly. I'm just not gonna pick Brooklyn because Brooklyn's obviously the favorite by the media because of Kevin Durant, and that's the problem. LeBron's not going back east. I don't know, but the Lakers is a good pick for media people and Laker fans, and it's nothing wrong with that. It's nothing wrong. I think it's good that the Laker fans, the actual Laker fans, pick their team because regardless of the situation. Yeah, it is up in the air because you don't know who's going to win it. You know, Lakers is an obviously favorite choice, and I'm not shitting on the Lakers. I think the Lakers is decent where they are, but that Suns team, man, that ain't right how they beat them in game one because Chris Paul's not going to go out like that. That may go 7. That may go 7. I can say that because I don't know. Now, LeBron in game 7 will win that, but it depends on his health in his situation because he'll have games that he'll go. Some games he'll be like, all right, fuck it. Let AD take care of it. AD has to be mean. He has to be what he wants to be. So he's got to take a risk for LeBron. You know, LeBron likes risk takers. I try to tell you, the guys he picked as stars, he likes risk takers. He likes to put you on the edge. A lot of people don't like that about him. Just like Tom Brady, you got to risk your life for one dude you're playing with as a teammate. Yeah, it's a team sport, but they're gonna praise LeBron way more. Yeah, they both injured. I said that earlier. I'm a Lakers fan, and I still think it's up in the air. Yeah, you should think that, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think the Lakers, they're fine. It's just everybody knows they're a target. See, LeBron, when he's injured, they got him. Now the other players got to help him. But I'm not going to downgrade them because, yeah, they the champs. They could be beat. They got a lot of holes in their game. But the coach is great too. It's just the thing is, what he did against the Suns, that rebound attack, that's a good fit, you know, for him to step up. And others started trusting him. See, it's about the trust too. But what I look at it like this, Philly, well, I saw what they did to Washington, man. Woo, that's a tailor-made team for a championship. And I know it's not right because they got the 2 Laker players. That's like stacking the deck almost. But hey, you gotta do what you gotta do, man. Because NBA playoffs is you're nobody's friend then. you gotta be with it or go with it. Because see, Milwaukee did some changes too. So a lot of these teams, they're not aiming at LeBron. They know who LeBron is. The trick is, can you beat him in any game? Not just 7 games, but any game. Because 7 games, he could be beat too. He had chances, but LeBron's willpower, see, he was different then. Now he's older. It's going to get a lot harder. So LeBron's got to rely on his teammates. why is not Mark Jackson not an NBA coach in the NBA? That makes no sense. Well, Mark Jackson, I hate to say it, he's a little outdated in today's game, even though he'll be a good coach on any team. But the stuff he said about the people up top and the same, I call them same sexuals, the gays, that hurts your brand. Even though he's good at media, but that hurts your brand when you criticize. Like, he uses religion too much. I'll say it like that. What he did in Golden State, I understand he had certain views, but in a city like that, in the Bay Area, the whole Bay Area, you can't say that stuff around liberals, man, because they'll attack you on a lot of things, not just Me Too, but the culture of it. And Mark has to be careful. Like, today's world is finesse. The NBA is way finesse. When I was growing up, people was getting thrown on the floor, actually play defense, touch each other in the rim and all that. It really hurts your brain when you try to go against it because they so biased. Yeah. I thought that same here. Mark is too real, man. He's like Thibodeau and all them other guys. He pushes this religious views heavy, and he does. And that's the problem. He's too realistic for most people. He comes from a time when coaches actually coached players and gave a damn about them. He comes from that type of angle. Now you got to come from a liberal angle and be finesse. They don't want you to be hard and yelling and screaming. That's why a lot of players do what they want. That's why I say it's more of a players' league, thanks to an analyst I used to listen to, Colin Cowherd. He broke that down. He said, games changes. Everybody's shooting threes now. Ain't no back to the basket and slamming in the floor. They finesse the rules. I blame, rest in peace, the legendary commissioner, David Stern, man. He did that. They're trying to see what they're trying to do. They sell tickets to the offensive guys. Offense do sell tickets. Defense just wins the game for you. See, they don't want to come see defense. They want to see scoring. They want to see numbers. Numbers sells. Just like I said, LeBron is stat pattern in a good way, and sometimes it can be a little bad, but in a good way, he doesn't worry about a championship. That fourth championship is really enough. He can care less about 5 or 6. He's want the players, do they want it? You know what I mean? He's actually coaching them. To be honest with you, with the Lakers, I think the Lakers is all right. Because all he did, I can say this in the bubble, I'm still going to give him credit for that championship, even though they set it up that way, but he deserved that, Instead of being 3 and 6, well, 4 and 6 is good enough to me, I learned to embrace that. I said, you know what? I let them have 4 and 6. They want a faster, more exciting game. Yeah, they do. That's what I'm telling you, man. They selling offense, man. That's what sells. They don't want that defense. Defense was great back then. Don't get me wrong. But you can't be violent. They had to tone us down, the black players. See, the white players was doing it too, but they stopped coming to the games. Well, not in the games, but being drafted. It wasn't good, so they had to get European players. That's tough. And they beat up on the white American players, not just the black players. See, the black players ain't scared of nobody overseas. It's the white men they scared of on the politics and stuff. But when they got those European players got their back, man, that's the NBA, man. So I got a lot of foreigners. That's why there will be high school drafts next year, because the NBA says it's okay to get high school players now. They got rid of the one and done rule. I mean, you can still do one and done without, NFL's doing the same thing. The next step, they're going to do the same thing like NBA does, because the economy's messed up, the shots and all the other stuff. I think they're looking at that. See, the sports world looks at what politicians look at. They look at the money. It's all corporate, Corporations look at what's on the ground. They don't care about what's online. Online is kind of like groundwork for them. They just looking at what people think and what you see on the ground, and that's how they get involved in politics, which is bad, but but it's marketing behind it. So you can't trust corporations. I mean, yeah, you should not trust politicians, but corporations are the worst. They in politics. They ruin everything. That's why the sports is the way it is. Organized sports. Now, combat sports, they don't care. The mob don't rule that. That's gamblers rule that. I'll say it like this. Gamblers rule the combat sports. It's the athlete that's fighting needs to quit. Realize you can gamble your own life by life and death every day, because people die in those sports. Just like New Jack said, rest in peace to him. You got to be that name. He wasn't told what to do. Now, them other wrestlers were told what to do. That's why you don't see him anymore. And Vince McMahon had the most leading deaths in steroids. That's just what it is. Because when you deal with Vince, you have a price on your head, man. You're living your life as an athlete. You can die in the ring and training, whatever. He said that a lot of the stuff in the interview. I've seen many interviews with him. He breaks down how athletes are, and then especially they was talking about unionized, right? They can't unionize combat sports because it'd be a problem. Because most people, they get health benefits if you're the superstar. If you're not a superstar, you don't get health benefits. So you're responsible for your own health. See, the NBA and NFL, NBL, NHL, all these national name leagues or foreign national name leagues, they're controlled by the union, man. It's socialism. It's big business, corporation, unity. We all united. They get all the good corporate medical bills, all that stuff. Food, resources. They have shoe deals and all that. That's corporations, man. That's why LeBron is his own corporation. He don't worry about no Lakers. Lakers, if they don't win the championship, he's still gonna be all right. That's why I don't worry about them losing a playoffs, because he knows how great the West is. This is gonna make him better, if he stays or not. LeBron's his own brand. He just gave the Lakers a legacy. So if he leaves LA still gonna be good. A lot of people don't understand. Lakers gonna be good. If Anthony Davis chooses not to stay, they're gonna get better every year. You know what I mean? The NBA is not gonna stop. Only way it's gonna stop if people stop buying their product. That's basically what it is. All these teams that want more championships, well, go out there and win one. The West, that could be any team. I enjoyed last night's West game against the Grizzlies and the Jazz. That's a good thing. That I ain't never seen them as a number one seed in history. History's being made today. Made this year. The East, I already know who's coming out. It's Philly. So it's gonna be Embiid and Antetokounmpo, Giannis, right? Them guys is that's the new league. That's the new NBA. AD's next stop is Chicago. Yes, my father said the same thing. I don't think he's going to take him to the championship, but if he does, he has to have a tailor-made team. He has to learn from this playoff and LeBron and certain mistakes he should not do. He should have a better fitted guys on his team. I will see what he going to do, because I think if he gets a team in Chicago, if they don't win the playoffs or the championship, AD will get somebody he can trust. And it's going to be very interesting. Yeah, Chicago will be back in the mix, but it's going to be time in one regular season. And then the next season, they'll be there. Now, if Kawhi does not beat Dallas or they get swept, he going to go. I heard people, they said rumors he may go. I don't know why he came back home to the Clippers, but he may go. See, knowing Kawhi like he did in Toronto, the East is wide open. Because they looking at the East. Half of those stars in the West, they're looking at the Eastern Conference right now because of money reasons, economics. It's all a numbers game to them, man. Because, see, the West, you got to produce. You got to be yourself. You got to be already established. See, LeBron don't have nothing to prove. He came out here, won a championship in L.A. At first, I thought he wasn't going to win one. But when Kobe died in the COVID thing, I'm not surprised he's in better shape. But he had a few minor injuries in the beginning before that championship. So, yeah, man. Lakers are going to be fine, like, in the future-wise. If LeBron and AD goes, they're going to still be fine. They're just not going to be as top, but they'll be one of the top teams being in the playoffs every year. What we see now this year's playoffs on the West, they'll be back there again, the same teams. Only difference is it depends on the players. Dallas will be in the playoffs forever because they got Doncic. He's a franchise player. And what he's doing, they're comparing him to LeBron. So that's a reach, what they were saying, but hey, that's a decent comparison, but it's hard to compare to LeBron because LeBron's one prototype, man. I don't think there will be another LeBron. LeBron's one of a kind. He's a Swiss Army knife. He's a guy that you will want as a small forward that handle like a ball like a guard. He dismantles everything. CP3, he plays hurt all the time. That's the advantage against the Lakers. But I say this, anybody can do that. But the pressure is that chip, man. They ain't worried about no conference championship. They want that gold Larry O'Brien trophy. It's just like the Super Bowl, the Lombardi trophy. That's what they fight for and bled for. So I ain't worried because I know my team. I have two teams in the East I like. I think the Heat and the Hawks. I know they're gonna be beaten. And there's another team I like. I like Dallas. Dallas is one of my favorite teams in the West. One of my favorite teams. I got a bunch of teams I like in NBA on both coasts. But my Bulls, I would love to see AD, man. Yeah, he's an uber athlete. Yeah, he is. But the sad part about it, man, like these teams, man, they have to look at Philly and Milwaukee for the next few years if they get in these playoffs, man. You know, yeah. The East is totally different, man. Miami is another story. I still like the Heat, but they still gonna get swept, man. I'm not even worried. So yeah. Yeah, that's playing in Europe, man. I know he's from Slovenia. He's from Eastern Europe. He always had a basketball in his hand. He played against professionals, man. That's how he's skilled like that. And I remember how he got drafted too. I remember seeing that draft. And he was for real. A lot of people, he came from a trade off of Trae Young. They're both doing decent in the playoffs. But see, Luka's been in the playoffs for years before Trae Young. See, Trae Young just started. I don't think he's the next big thing, but that's just Trae Young. So yeah. Yeah, I just want to check in, you know, just a little NBA playoff day. I'm gonna watch Miami and Milwaukee tonight. And I think the Lakers and the Suns tonight as well. And I think there's another night game. I think it's Dallas and the Clippers, I believe. Yeah. Yeah, so with that, I just want to say shalom and peace.